On this episode of Deep Thrones, we review House of the Dragon Season 3, Episode 2, Queen's Landing. We deal with the aftermath of the Battle of the Gullet. We all mourn with Queen Rhaenyra Targaryen over the death of Prince Jacaerys Velaryon, and we prepare to take King's Landing, plus many more hilarious segments. Winter is here.
Not to be messed with, tested quiz. They shooting shots, hitting bricks.
Welcome to Deep Thrones, the most entertaining podcast in the world of Ice and Fire. I'm your host, Sims. Your other host, Sheedy's here. What's up, Sheeds?
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Doing great. That was Queen's Landing elite episode.
I
Loved
thought
it.
so. Strong, strong.
I think through two episodes, they needed to make a statement, and I think they've done it so far this year.
100%. In honor of Jace and Luke, they had strong episodes. Got him. Got him.
Okay. All right. There he is. He's back. The body's not even cold yet. All
Yeah.
right.
These are like the thing is because of their condensed time, they're packing so much into these episodes that I think we just get into the reviews. This is what the
Let's do
people are
it.
here for. They're here for the goods.
Let's do
So
it.
Queen's Landing opens, Chris. There's a lot of gullet aftermath going on. Baela's sort of picking up some pieces. We see some boats getting flamethrowered. It looks like the dragon seeds have sort of joined her at this point. Cleanup time. They're there for cleanup
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, they showed up in garbage time. They came off the bench, and sometimes when you come up off the bench, you just gotta put up what points you can. But it was a sad scene, and it picked up from the sadness of last episode with Jace getting clipped, unfortunately, and Baela takes Jace to Dragonstone, and I mean, honestly, one of the most touching scenes I think that I've seen, definitely in this series, maybe throughout Game of Thrones, but seeing Rhaenyra, have the body of Jace presented to her, she's in disbelief at first. She tries talking to Jace and saying, what have you done? What have you done? And yeah, it pulled at the heartstrings for sure.
100%. And I will say, the thing that Game of Thrones excelled at, that House of the Dragon struggles with, is that sort of like everything in Game of Thrones felt impactful. But to your point, Emma Darcy, and I'm going to get into this when we get to the segments, their acting, I think of all three Westeros series, excels above everybody. And it's not a knock on
Mm.
anybody else. I'm not saying anyone else was bad. That's just a testament to Emma Darcy, who is like, how is this their big break? How are they not in more things? They're
Yeah.
amazing. But Sir Lawrence, when Baela lands, is like, oh, yo, how was the battle? And
Dude,
Baela says, we won. And then he sees Jace and Sir
fucking
Lawrence
guy.
realize, yeah, he's like, ah, fuck.
And then he has the nerve to pull Rhaenyra back during the scene where Rhaenyra's all over Jace, and it's like, read the room, my guy. Like, what are you doing?
I know, I know. And I have this note here where he lays down his sword at Rhaenyra's feet and he says, you should kill me. She doesn't, and I was pissed, but hold on it, because they actually got this part right, but she doesn't kill him in that moment. I was livid, Chris. I was about to text you, but you hadn't started it yet, so I held on it, but I was so mad.
Yeah,
Um,
she says, what would killing you do? Would that make my son come back to life? So
Good point. Good point. From there we go back to the gullet where Alan is looking for Corlys. Adam of Hull is also flying overhead looking for Corlys, probably looking for any corpses they can find. There's still some like skirmishes going on between random scores of men in the area. And then from there, Rhaena treats with Lady Jane at the Vale. She's essentially just hiding now. She went, she fucking did a drive-by in the gullet, and now she's hiding in the Vale.
dude, Sheep Stealer's just like hiding back there, like, come on, come on. Let us in, let us in.
Sheep Stealer's like Lady Jane. I never left. If anyone asks, I've been here the entire time.
Yeah, but she did want her dragon. That was one of the preconditions of having the Vale join the black side. And I guess she got a dragon, I guess, through the back door. I don't know.
This is some shady dealings. I'm gonna be curious because later on, Rhaenyra specifically tells Daemon, like, bring me Sheepstealer and their rider. It's Daemon's daughter. Although Daemon, we'll
Doesn't
get into
know,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll get
Yeah.
into that. But we cut to Daemon's camp where vibes are high. Tywin Lannister's head or this is Jason Lannister, I should say, the twin of Tywin Lannister. His head and a lion's head are on a spike. Daemon, Roderick the Ruin, and Allie Blackwood are singing a song about the fish feed, which is what I guess the battle was, a condensed fish feed. And vibes are
Mhm.
high, and Simon Strong shows up with news.
Yeah, Simon Strong brings news from Nera. Unfortunately, Jace died and they're heading to King's Landing. So Damon's flying back on Caraxes, and then he instructs the River Lords and the Winter Wolves to meet him and rendezvous down in King's Landing, but also send a detachment to Garrison Harrenhal, which we see later in the episode. But Oscar Tully was also on site there. The
That's right.
vibes were super high. I wish Kermit and Elmo were there. I'm sure there's somewhere there in spirit, but this was a cool. They kind of they don't show the battle on screen. They kind of sing about it, and there's some cool lines in there that I just did one watch through. I'm sure on my second that I'll catch some more of it. But to your point, and we talked about this before the season kicked off. Some of the battles are going to have to be either like quick cuts or talked about on screen and not necessarily shown. And this was one of them, which the Battle of the Red Fork and the fish feed kind of lend to each other as well, anyways, because one directly leads to the other in canon. So I understand where they were going with that, but it is a battle that's pretty cool in lore. So would have been
Yeah,
cool to see, but I totally get it.
100% agreed. I think, I understand why they condensed it. At least they gave us a little bit more than the Burning Mill gave us, so I'll take it.
Yeah.
But it's a cool scene, a good introduction for Black Allie because we didn't really see her last episode. We did, but she was in the background. Um, Damon has a quick chat with Alice Rivers, and he's saying, I'm going back to Queen's Landing. And like you said, he tells his host to eventually meet him there, which will lead them through Tumbleton. That we'll get to all that. But Alice tells we finally find a motivation. She wants Harrenhal. She's like
Yeah.
Ron. She wants a castle.
Interesting. Interesting. I don't know how I feel about that. She's supposed to be like a woods witch and she wants a castle.
Yeah, she's over my dead body. That's what I'll say. Alan is walking amongst the dead again, more looking for Corlys. He has a good conversation with Bela, which I liked because Bela is like a normalized child of obviously not Corlys, but Corlys's daughter. And Alan wants that title. Adam's overhead looking for Corlys, and they eventually do find Corlys.
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting way to kind of tie that family in together. Bela is certainly one of the more likable characters
100%.
throughout the series, and along with Alan and mostly Alan because we see more of him, but Adam I think will get there too. But yeah, I thought it was cool. It's not we didn't really get a full history of what Alan and Adam were before, a couple hits last season. So I
Yep.
thought it was a cool way to kind of tie in like, hey, we grew up very differently, but we did experience a lot of the same with Corliss.
Yep.
So and it pays off in that moment later once they do find Corliss.
Yeah, Alan for me has been the MVP of the season so far. From there, Laris and Aegon are traveling. They're still obviously the captors of, I believe it was House Staunton from last episode. And like we said, they're getting to the coast to go to Dragonstone, and Triarchy troops are like in the area, and a Triarchy little kind of outpost of what's left of them starts fighting the Staunton men, and Laris and Aegon escape. And they're heading for Rook's Rest.
Yeah, and remember when uh Lohar was approaching and she kind of dispersed her troops in several different prongs of the attack. Now we're starting to see the Triarchy made ground in a lot of those areas, high tide being one of them, but different areas along the coast. And this was a direct result of that. And apparently Aegon is now back, ready to go, killing people, frees himself, and then just being headstrong again, not listening to Laris, who is the only reason he's alive twice
Yeah.
over now.
No, 100%. And he said, Laris even suggested, like, let's just go hide out for a little while. And Aegon's like, let's go to Rook's Rest. Cole still has an outpost. Like, he has some men there. They'll be loyal to me. And also remember, that was last season where Meleys was killed and actually where Aegon's big injury happened and where he believes his dragon, Sunfire, died. So there's a lot of things in the works here. Him and Laris are they're going to be a slow traveling party because Aegon's burnt to a crisp. Laris has one foot working for him, one foot working against him. So a lot going on there. Corlys has been recovered. Great scene with him, Adam, and Alan, where like he tells Alan, he's like, "You got my name now." He gives the famous line from the books, which I don't know if you have it as one of your lines. Do you?
I do not.
Okay, then let's just say it. Basically, he says from the books, a famous Corlys Valerian line after the Battle of the Gullet: "If this be victory, I pray I never win another." It's a great line, and he gives Alan his last name. I don't know if he gives Adam his last name. He specifically said Alan.
Yeah, it was definitely ambiguous in this scene. And they even like panned to Adam too. So it definitely wasn't made clear. It certainly happens at some point, but I don't know if it happened there.
No, yeah, and he even told Alan like, I think you're right. I think Adam has to earn it still, which is unfortunate. I
Mhm.
wish he wasn't there to see that. Sucks. But he said, I don't have a castle to give you because High Tide in the distance is burning. And from there, Alicent watches Vhagar leave.
Yeah, peace out.
See
And
you
and
later.
this episode does have a lot of those little quick cuts too, so we'll bounce through these. But Allison just like schemes, she was scheming all episode, and it ended up working out.
Yeah,
So through those King's Landing cuts, she does talk to the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. I'm sorry, the City Watch, the Gold Cloaks, Luthor Largent, kind of convinces him to open up the gates and not take up arms against the Rhaenyra's dragons. And then she was scheming also to, different areas, and people start getting suspicious. But we'll loop to that
yeah.
once it gets to that scene.
So many cuts where like all of the things are tied together by like the third cut where it's like you just got to group them together.
Hmm.
Caraxes returns to Dragonstone, of course, Daemon with him. Daemon greets the Dragon Seeds. He's very suspicious of these guys, very critical of them because I don't think Daemon is very similar to Jace in terms of like this is our right, not yours. He fucking backhands Ulf. And he basically is saying, like, if she tells you guys to go wait and kill Vhagar, I don't care if it takes a month. You wait and you kill Vhagar. Like, there was no order to
Hmm.
come back when you felt like it, which is a
Hmm.
great scene. And then he goes and visits with Rhaenyra, but has a quick chat with Mysaria. A lot happening there with Daemon.
Yeah, Damon's return was just coming in hot. And he has a point, like this is a person who spent his entire life pretty much in military service or commanding. So for him to be like, what the hell are you guys doing back? Like I'm actually shocked that there weren't further repercussions for disobeying orders, right? And then he sees Masseria. They talk about, how Masseria's kind of been slippery and
I think
got
they used
inside
the word
Rhaenyra's
slippery.
confidence. Yeah, he goes, I underestimated your slipperiness, which was
They
great.
listened to the pod because we called Baelish slippery. Remember slippery? Remember
Oh
Baelish with
yeah.
his shoes? He would grease
Oh
up his
yeah.
shoes before scenes because he'd slide in front of Sansa
He was a slippery boy, all-time slippery boy.
all time.
And but yeah, so D Damon just comes in hot, and it's good to see him back in actually meaningful scenes this season. Last season he didn't really have too many, so definitely a triumphant return for Damon.
100% agree. Again, Allison's just telling everyone to stand down. She's going guard to guard, telling him to stand down. Damon goes into Rhaenyra's quarters. She's obviously in grief. She doesn't really have the stomach to do anything. This is when they speak of Sheep Stealer, and Rhaenyra says, "Bring me whoever that rider is and that dragon." Damon goes, "It'll be done." But the gist of this conversation is Daenerys. Damon tells oh my God, that's their power couple name. Damon tells Rhaenyra that Vhagar left. He's like, this is it. Don't let Jace. He's like, don't let your son. His name escapes me. Don't let him die in vain. Because that's how Damon was with those kids. He's like, don't whatever him. Oh, me we used to play. Me and him used to play catch. He's like, don't let him die in vain.
Yeah, so I mean, this was also a touching scene, and it's always kind of awkward with Rhaenyra and Damon because they are like intimate, but then they also kind of hate each other. So it's like,
Yeah.
is Damon being that close to her like welcome? I don't know, but he says, "Will you let them die in vain?" That kind of resonated with her, but then he really needed to invoke the Song of Ice and Fire that he saw at Harrenhal.
Yes.
And he started speaking High Valyrian and just said, if it's true, then what are you going to do next?
Yeah. And
and that's what really got her going.
I question Damon's even like his own belief in it. He just knows that this will get Rhaenyra to act. I think that's Damon's main motivation is just let's kill the like let's do it, you know? Um
Yeah, I mean, I will say he does seem to be 100% committed to Rhaenyra now,
yeah,
as opposed to before that vision with Alice Rivers. He was very much still trying to gain his own throne.
yeah,
So I think he is. I think seeing that did kind of wake him up a little bit,
good.
but we'll see how that progresses throughout the season.
From there was a really this was the scene for me from the episode when I talk about like every week they shoehorn in like a weird scene. It was this scene. It was Lord Jasper shows up in a very forced assault scene, which I felt like was like out of left field. For me, I didn't. It made me feel very uncomfortable. There was nothing in his character set up. He wasn't a good guy previously, but it just kind of came out of left field.
Hmm.
And he tried to assault Allison, basically invoking her relationship with Cole. And he knows that she's essentially being a traitor to the Greens. He's been kind of following her movements. And he attempts this assault, but Orwell shows up with some Greens and he's arrested.
Yeah, it was definitely an unsettling scene for sure. And you're right, there weren't any like nuggets that would kind of lead up to him doing that. Now, that being said, like, men are dogs, and
Yeah.
like he's a man in power that saw an opportunity to take advantage
Yeah.
of a situation. So from that standpoint, like I guess, but Orwell comes in, saves the day, and yeah, it Orwell had himself an episode,
Yeah.
some highs and some lows. That was definitely a high, and Allison also kind of came through on her word. So
Yeah. From there, we cut to Rhaenyra on Dragonstone. This is that scene from the trailer. She looks intense. She sort of just has a moment with herself. Then she and Daemon walk into the painted table room on Dragonstone, and Rhaenyra is no longer asking anything. She's telling, "We're going to
just
King's
giving
Landing."
commands. Yep,
Yes.
going to King's Landing. Insist on it, even though Sir Bartimus and her counsel there are kind of like, hey, this reeks of a trap. She said, I'm going. This isn't Damon's even like that. I didn't even hear a question in there. She said she's going. And Damon commands Ulf and Hugh Hammer to kind of stay wide, guard the flanks, essentially. Don't do anything. Don't think. Like, just minimal effort mentally on
Yeah.
your end. Just do exactly what we say.
It was an intense scene. He's like poking Ulf in his forehead, telling him like don't essentially saying don't fuck this up. Like you can tell Damon doesn't like him. I think Damon's heavy-handedness with Ulf and Hugh, they're laying it on thick. And I think Ulf and Hugh in later episodes might not respond so well to the heavy-handedness. At least you could see them looking at each other after the fact, kind of like,
Yeah.
he's just gonna think he
I
is.
I also feel like there is a level of I feel
Fear?
like Damon maybe respects Hugh a little. Respect is a hard word, but thinks that Hugh kind of gets it more than Ulf does.
Yeah.
Because you can see, I mean, he's really, I mean, physically heavy-handed with Ulf, and then he'll be more so just like giving Hugh commands.
I feel like you were probably a good, like a good, like a coachable player. But when you were a football player, you ever have a coach grab the face mask? You ever have a coach grab the face mask
No,
and
not, I mean, not me, no.
gotcha. Yeah. You ever grab someone's face mask and tell them to wake up?
No,
Okay. I was
no,
just wondering.
no,
Just asking
no,
questions.
no.
Just asking questions. Sometimes I feel like if I was a coach, I'd be grabbing face masks and telling them like, wake up.
I mean,
Like,
you got coaches out here that just headbutt kids in helmets. I mean, that's
I know,
just
it's
craziness.
psychopaths. Psychopaths. But this is the point that I wanted to bring it full circle. As Rhaenyra is walking out from her council, Bartimus and the Maester, she goes, "Oh, and by the way, let Sir Lawrence choose how he will die." So basically says, when you guys come to King's Landing to hang out, he's not coming with. Let him choose, get rid of him. Love that. Love that.
Hmm.
She doesn't need to bloody herself with his head. Let them do it.
Yeah, it was interesting how the turn went from grieving to like
Angry.
ready to go. And even once we get to the scenes in the Red Keep, it still seems like she's somewhat holding on to this old Rhaenyra, but
She is.
we want to see her we want to see her just go off the rails, you know.
Yeah. And then as they're about to leave Myceria, all these people just grasping for last second power. Myceria grabs Rhaenyra and is like, by the way, remember who was loyal to you. About
Mhm.
Daemon. And it's like, whoa, easy, easy there, lady. In my opinion,
Hmm.
it's like reel it in a bit.
I mean, she's her nickname's the White Worm. She's trying to, be slippery and get in there every opportunity she can.
It's a good point. That's a great point. She is very slippery. He calls her an eel. Rhaenyra and her dragons take off. Very cool shots of them in the air. It's stunning. It was from the trailer. Alicent now is having Helena throw what remains of her weight around. She is technically the last monarch in King's Landing. So she's telling all the greens on the ramparts with the scorpions, because those things are accurate as fuck, to stand down. She's like, don't do shit. Don't shoot anything. And Helena is adorable. She is like kind of aloof.
She's the best. She's the
Yeah.
best. She's like Elsa tries to spin it as she's trying to do what she thinks would make Helena happy. And Helena goes, I think I might like keeping chickens.
There's a lot
I'm
of
like,
this is a
okay.
great if you're a fan of like the books, this show might not be for you, but if you're a fan of gaslighting, House of the Dragon has it in spades. Every episode, there's an intense amount of gaslighting.
Allison's the queen. I mean, Otto did it pretty well too. She learned from the best.
She did. She had a master as a father. Kristen and Gwen, this is great because they've been waiting. Vagar was supposed to join them in the field years ago, and they see Vagar heading to Harrenhal, and Cole just goes to Harrenhal.
And yeah, they're pumped. They're pumped. And Vagar arrives with fire and blood to Harrenhal.
Dude, Aemond
And
is cutting down that garrison. They're torching everybody.
torching that garrison that was sent up by Daemon and the Rivermen shortly before that. And Aemon hops off. He's not fucking around. He's cutting people down with black fire. Vagar's putting in work in the back. He walks into I guess the equivalent to a throne room at Harrenhal,
That's
and
where they
Simon
eat.
Strong's sitting there.
In their little food room. Simon's always in there.
Dude, Simon, you could tell he kind of had this air of like, oh, we've done this before. We're unbothered.
Let me do the talking. I know how to talk to these guys.
And he got he got a little handsy, he got a little touchy with Aemond, and then he just got
Peace.
shanked.
Yeah. Aemond, the fan base is gonna be livid. They loved our Queen Simon Strong last season. He became like everyone's favorite. And then Aemond goes and shanks him, kills his kids, but one of them shanks Aemond back in like the back.
Yeah, yeah. Got under his armor, so seems to be a pretty almost mortal blow. And we see Aemond kind of crawling. Alice Rivers conveniently shows up because she's always lurking in the background at Harrenhal. And Aemon's kind of grasping for life, asking her to help him.
And I wonder if they're setting up, since Damon spurned her, that she's like, fine then, this will be my grasp for power, right? That's at least obviously the angle they're setting up. I think she's Harrenhal is too simple of a request for her. I think there's more there. As my dog is next to me, sorry, he's acting crazy. The dragons arrive at King's Landing. Small folk are terrified. They're running around looking up because they have no clue what's going on. It has to be wild to be a peasant. There's no clue of any of the important things happening. There's constantly dragons.
I
Um,
mean, it's interesting because when you look back at season one, dragons were flying above King's Landing, and it was just a kind of a daily occurrence. And no one's getting upset. They're more excited than anything. And then now you have, the city's going nuts. People are fleeing. You got looting going on. Everyone's scared. So I do like that they kind of played that contrast.
That's a great point. I'm glad you said that. That's really, really great. Rhaenyra and Daemon enter kind of unopposed. The Gold Cloaks are assisting them. They've been loyal to Daemon. They go, into the first sort of gate. Everything's cool. And then they're like, well, the real test is inside. They go inside and they do face some resistance. Daemon dispatches them. I would have loved to have had a small garrison with them. I think I think House of the Dragon, unfortunately, is under a microscope that most other shows don't get put under. Rightfully so. They've earned a fair amount of ire, but I think in this case, people will be like, oh, just Damon cutting everyone down, But he was, to the show's credit, he was facing like two at a time instead of one at a time, which I appreciated.
Yeah, and I mean he also has Dark Sister, so he can put in work with that, and he's a veteran of dozens of battles, so I could see it. I could see him cutting through, six guys.
100%. Sir Barristan Selmy did it in lore all the time, and Daemon is
Hmm.
probably of this era. I don't know if he's Barristan's level, but he's up there. You know what I mean? He's one of those types of dudes.
Hmm.
Um, they enter the throne room. There is still at least one last grasp of green loyalists in there. But the City Watch joins. There's a sort of a tension there, but then they're like, Daemon gave us these cloaks. We'll always be loyal to Daemon. And the Greens lay down their swords. Um,
Yeah, and that the City Watch was a key part in the books of Daemon and Rhaenyra taking King's Landing. So it was cool to see Luthor Largent and uh this is and I think this episode is really I'll get into my rating, but it's things like that where it's like it planted seeds in season one when Damon is the commander of the City Watch and restores them to like an actual effective force and something that means something in the city. And
right.
now you see that coming full circle. Like that's the type of stuff where I'm like, okay, this show does a lot of things really well.
Yeah, they do. It's what's so annoying. We've said it since day one is Condal nails the lore. And then out of nowhere, he's like, Eamon, why don't you plant a big fat one on your mouth? Just out of nowhere. Like, why that? Um,
Dude.
this is when Rhaenyra delivers the line that we've heard from the trailers, which is they say, Queen, you're here, take your throne. She's like, it's not my throne yet. Bring Aegon, the usurper, to me. They go looking, they're like, he's not here.
He
He's
took
not
off. He
here.
took off.
Yeah. Or Orwyle bends the knee because Damon is like, where the fuck is he? And Orwyle is like, hey, a lot's been going on. He fled, but I have a stand-in for you in the Black Cells, and it's Jasper. We get a quick cut to Helena and Allison, who I think are fleeing. They're trying to get out
Yeah.
of there, but they kind of had
Yeah.
an agreement, so it's a little bit ambiguous, but they're trying to flee.
Yeah. I think they would probably rather just get out of there than be put at the mercy of Rhaenyra, but probably more so Daemon.
Yeah.
But they end up not being able to get out of there. But there is a pretty good payoff within the Black Cells.
So they go down there to get Jasper, and there's a guy down there who says, "Hey, I have one more thing for you. It's actually a gift from Lara Strong." And I love this change from the books, and we'll talk about it. It is a change from the books that Laris had him, right?
It was ambiguous. It wasn't clearly stated how
Okay,
Otto was
that's fair.
presented,
Otto
but
Hightower is
yeah.
Jasper and Otto are then brought forth. And I love that because that is such Laris. First off, he wanted to be Hand of the King, so he probably figured, let's get rid of this guy. He's leaving. I can have him captured, and also an insurance of like, if this will be my, if they do, I'm always playing both sides. I'm always playing both
Yep.
sides. So they're brought in front of Rhaenyra. Before they're brought, Rhaenyra's like other captors who are Team Blacks are taken out of the Black Cells, and she's greeting them. Like Lady Fell was one of them.
Yeah,
Um,
Lord Merryweather.
yeah,
So yeah, that's again cool to see like it's not just black and white. There were people who were still loyal to Rhaenyra and just like ultimately Viserys and who he named the
right.
heir. And now they're fully back.
Right, right. And then Damon brings Otto and Jasper, and Damon going up to Otto's cell, and he
Just
is cracked
chuckling.
this laugh, and he's like, "Oh my God!" He's like, Damon has wanted this for so long. Damon tells Rhaenyra, "You have to kill Otto. You have to do it." Listen, this episode was solid. Rhaenyra crying in front of all those people while executing Otto. I'm gonna need you to not cry, Rhaenyra.
Yeah,
I'm
that
gonna
was
need you to not
interesting. I
cry.
mean, she hated him. I mean, he was the whole reason why all this happened. And yeah,
She's not a murderer.
I mean, but
I
I
know.
like her kids have just been like murdered. It's all been Otto's fault. Like
All of it.
I would have loved to just see some just pure anger there.
100%. I would have loved to have seen her resolute. The face that she made in that scene on Dragonstone that we talked about from the trailer, I would have loved to have seen that face. Just kind of like,
Yeah.
and she was doing it up until then. There's like these little inklings of Viserys within her that just, and
Mm.
I'm sorry if you guys can hear that. My dog is scratching his face violently.
Can't
But
hear
good. But
it.
she beheads Otto. It takes a couple of swipes. This is like Theon when Theon tries to kill Roderick Castle. Like just You know, you got to do one, and even Otto is like, can you have Damon do it?
Yeah, right. I think it helped to have Dark Sister and Valyrian Steel there because otherwise it probably would have turned into a Theon like a ton of hacks at it.
Yeah, 100%. There's a great moment where then, after she beheads Otto, Damon grabs the sword and Jasper's like, "Would you send word to my wife?" And Damon he doesn't even care what Jasper has to say. He just cuts his
Not
head
at
off.
all.
Rhaenyra ascends the throne. She sits down. Alicent and Helena are brought in by the Gold Cloaks. The Gold Cloaks were like helping them at first, but now I think they're trying to make good with the new queen. So they're like, actually, here they are. Um, Alicent and Helena walk into the throne room, see their father slash grandfather's head on the floor, and look up to see Rhaenyra sitting the Iron Throne.
Yeah, and it was another symbolic moment here where Rhaenyra steps upon the Iron Throne for the first time, really the first time in the Red Keep since her father died, and it's with the blood of Otto Hightower
Yeah,
on her feet, which
yeah,
harkening back to season one, just so full of symbolism that again, I give the kudos to the show of just like, bringing that moment to like such a heightened and visceral kind of conclusion there, I guess.
yeah.
Yeah.
Otto,
So
a
loved
master
it.
schemer too, dying in the dark, even saying, I assume everyone else is dead. He has no clue what's going on, probably
Yeah.
has no semblance of time. The Black Cells, which you've gotten into in a Westeros History Minute in the confines of Deep Thrones history, they're in the absolute basement of the red. There's no light. It's pitch blackness and these guys are thrown there essentially to rot. So he has no clue what's going on, and he says
Mhm.
something to Rhaenyra like, "If your father could see you right now," and it's like, "Shut the you." I
Yeah.
listen. You know how I feel about Otto. I love my boy Otto, but it's like, come on, Otto, a little self-awareness here, buddy.
Yeah, he did look good for being in the Black Cells for that long, though. I was kind of like, oh, they could have made him look a little more dingy.
I think he looked fantastic, and he
But
deserved to
maybe Laris made sure he had good treatment down there just in case the Greens ended up winning.
He's like brushing him up. He's like, "Hey, buddy, listen, buddy, you got to understand from my perspective, buddy." A solid episode. Chris, let's get into the specifics of House of the Dragon season 3, episode 2, Queen's Landing. What would you, sir, rate it?
I gave it an 8.2. I
Wow.
loved it. I liked the fact, like we talked about, that a lot of the season one remnants were showing up again now that Rhaenyra made it back to the Red Keep. And I love that it was pretty accurate to what is in the books. And so, it took a while for the dragon seeds to find their way back to the gullet, right? And of course you have the sheep stealer in the veil situation that's not canon. But other than that, I thought this did a pretty good job at sticking to the source material. So
Yeah.
loved this episode. 8.2. Would you
Yeah.
rate
I
it?
I gave it a 7.3. So we're very close.
Okay.
I think that's very respectful. I think last episode I gave it an 8.3 and you gave like a 7. So we're like
Yes.
right on a
Yeah.
similar thing here. I will say I was so pissed about the Reyna sheep stealer thing, and now I'm so curious what the angle it's got me like intrigued. Like Damon, is he gonna have to do something with sheep stealer or something? I can't imagine the payoff just knowing what we know what Damon's gonna be doing the rest of this season, if he's what how that will play into it, but I'm curious. But all the other stuff, like that's not why I rated it 7.3. The reason I rated it 7.3 is it was a really solid episode. You could tell this was meant to be the finale last season. Um, and I will say, a lot of people said episodes 3 and 4 back to back are the two strongest episodes in House of the Dragon. So very curious to see next week and the week after, as well. So
Wow. Interesting.
they
Okay.
said that it was almost like this season ended and then season 3 begins in the next 2 weeks, really strong. So very curious.
Yeah, I thought it was solid, and yeah, that is a great point about Sheep Stealer and Reyna and seeing how that plays out. So
Very curious. So best line, yes, Queen. I'll start this one off. My best line. Damon. He says it to Oscar Tully and the rest. We will be the Queen's fist. None will stand against us. I love that. His little army.
I literally have the same thing.
We had the same best line last week.
We did, yeah. But I added in like it does. harken back again. They've been doing this a lot. There's been nuggets that they're calling back on, but when
Yeah.
Kristen Cole, when Aegon made the same comment about Kristen Cole going to the Riverlands
Right.
and saying that, he'll be my Iron Fist.
That's right. That's right. That's good. I love it. I love the tie in there. My Yas Queen was actually Laris. Laris, when they're about to escape, he opens like the little door. Someone's knocking on it while they're fighting. He's like, I can't see. I'm looking out the back, but there's a foray happening. And Aegon's like, what's going on? Are we under attack? And Laris goes, I shouldn't be surprised. And then a Tyroshi pirate opens the door and is talking in another language, and Laris is staring at him confused. And the guy just takes an arrow, and Laris goes, I was mistaken. I am surprised.
Yeah, that was good. I kind of listen, Laris has grown on me over the years.
Laris
I
and
kind
Aegon
of
are like the buddy duo right now that we didn't know we needed. They're doing every time they show up, I'm happy.
they're like what blood and cheese was supposed to be.
100%. 100%.
Mine was Helena. We talked about this one, but when talking about what might make her happy, and she said, "I think I might like to keep chickens." I just thought that was a light touch on a heavy episode, you know?
That is great. That is a great line. And Helena is sort of a ray of sunshine in these episodes, and hopefully she stays that way because she is much needed relief from the otherwise dire situations. Hottest moment, I'm gonna say mine because I alluded to it earlier. Emma Darcy. Their acting has been insane. I don't know if House of the Dragon will get them an Emmy because it's, it could be a bit of a popularity contest, and if House of the Dragon on social media, is hot and cold with fans. But Emmett RC deserves to be in way more things than they're in. Put them in all the movies. They should win an Oscar. And I had a follow up, which was just the visuals of the dragons all taking off was very cool.
Yeah, mine's similar, but it was when Rhaenyra enters the throne room for the first time
Yeah.
since her dad passed away. Yeah, my queen finally made it back home.
It
Love to
was
see
great to see.
it.
It was cool to see Rhaenyra at this point in Westeros history, I think the first queen ever to sit the Iron Throne. I think. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
I mean title of queen, right? So like
Right. There's
uh
dowagers and queen mothers and
what's Aegon the First and his two queen sisters were technically
yeah,
right,
Visenya and
but
Rhaenys.
yeah.
Yeah. Good point. Good point. Um, did you do your hottest moment? Oh wait, yeah, your queen
Yeah,
enters
yeah,
the throne.
Rhaenyra entering the throne room.
Mount Rushmore. This was a good one because we're gonna break from Westeros for a second, and we're gonna talk because we're in the heat of what? Summer, and it is the heat, and we're gonna
Hmm.
do most overrated summer activities.
Most overrated summer activities, and I have a bunch because
Dude,
summer's a little too hot for me. So you want me to start?
start. Looks like you
I'll
got one right
start.
there.
This one's gonna be contentious. The beach.
The beach.
Hate
Wow.
hate beaches, hate sand, hate no, dude, salt water, no chance. I'm out.
Yeah, I mean, everything wants to kill you in the ocean.
That's
There's not
facts.
a thing in the ocean that's nice.
Facts.
This might be the one Mount Rushmore where we just agree on everything. My number one pick, and I guess it's not technically just summer, but it's associated with summer, so I'm going to say it, fireworks. Fireworks
Mm.
are, and I'm not saying they're terrible, they're just way overrated. First off, what am I, 5 years old? Once you've seen one firework, you've seen every firework. Listen, this has nothing to do with the 4th of July. I love grilling. I love an eagle diving into the lake and grabbing a trout. I love Ford F-150s, but fireworks, completely overrated. Boom, pop. Who cares?
That's that's crazy because you're not even a parent yet. Like now we had fireworks going off. It's 11 o'clock right now. They're going off at like 10 o'clock. I'm like, you're gonna wake the kids up, then I'm
Dude,
gonna have to deal with this. Like,
it's
yeah, it's
disrespectful. As I will say, as a dog owner, it's not about they don't wake my dog up, but they terrify him when he is awake. So I feel very bad for him because you can't explain to him like, what do you get? It's don't worry about it.
look at this, look at this.
Yeah,
Okay, this is relevant because we're going on a trip tomorrow, but traveling with kids.
yeah, humble brag.
Traveling with kids is definitely overrated. I don't even know that people rate that well, but it's stressful until
Even
you
then,
get there and then it becomes fun. But like yeah, just get in the airport, renting a car, you got car seats, you got all this stuff. Two little kids. You don't think you have like two carfuls of stuff, but yeah, it's a lot.
My number two, the sun. The sun is overrated, always burning up my skin, always making everything hot, always making. You ever just walk outside and you're like, why is it so bright? Like when the day is super bright? Sometimes
Well,
the day is less
yeah.
bright compared to others.
Like cloudy, I guess
Not
is
even cloudy. Even when it's no cloud, some days it's brighter. You know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, okay. I think I don't know that we agree on that one. The sun's pretty cool.
I guess.
Uh, but being in the heat is my next pick. And yeah, just I guess those are kind of related, but
I
I
agree.
do enjoy some good sun.
Like I love a patio, but on like 70-degry days. When it's a
Yes.
patio and it's like
Yes.
90 and the
Oh
waitress is
no.
like anything else and I'm like, "Will you just douse me with water?" My third controversial, festivals. I don't like people.
Mm,
And in the
mm.
summer festivals, lots of people, lots of heat. The sun is probably there being all bright.
We agree on that one for sure. And then I'm gonna finish mine off with sweating. Sweating,
Yes.
no good.
No good.
No
It's so weird.
bueno.
When you want to sweat, it's great. When you're just walking outside and you're sweating, it's terrible.
Yeah, and then like when you work out in the morning and then you shower, but then it's like hot out, so you're
Yes.
going to work and you're like drenched. It's like, come on,
Yeah,
what's happening?
100%. That's actually a great point. That doubles, people forget about that double shower because the double sweat.
Hmm.
Number four, because the summer, bugs. Bugs. I
Oh,
got no general beef with bugs. They don't bother me, but sometimes at night you're trying to get your key in the door and June bugs are dive bombing you, or mosquitoes. Which I don't know if are they
mosquitoes.
bugs? They're technically bugs, right?
Man, those mosquitoes, you can't have
Number
that.
number one killer of humans, mosquitoes. Stay woke. Um, you blew it. This episode, you blew it. Chris, I'll go first because I'm a
You
Greens
lead us
guy.
off.
And this you blew it. First off, Otto blew nothing. I love Otto. This
Blue nothing.
I'm gonna have a send
Come
off
on.
for Otto at some point. He was my king. The way he used to say your grace, I think he deserved a little bit better. I don't like that he had like half a scene this season. It is what it is. His final scene last season yelling at Aegon was fantastic. But the entire Green Garrison at King's Landing, have some stones, have some pride. Tons of people die for what they believe in this world. How is it that everyone on my side didn't? Not a single, I guess a handful did, but where's the fortitude, man? Even the Night's Watch, which is full of fucking losers and thieves during the battle on the wall, was like, yeah, let's go all out, boys. God, the Green Garrison,
You blew it.
you blew it.
You blew it. We don't love you, and you blew it. Mine is gonna be Jasper Wild.
Yes.
You're the master of laws. You're clearly breaking laws, assaulting people. You even tried to like kind of flip it and make an arrest, but then you ended up getting arrested. You just had an awful episode. You had an awful 2 seasons. Go home, Jasper Wild.
You blew it.
You blew it.
You blew it. We also don't love you, and you blew it.
It's gonna be weird to see how him and Otto what they do going forward. Because without heads, it's going to be awfully hard for them to continue on the council. So I'm curious to see what their plan is for them. Um, my crown their ass is it's an easy one. They got crowned. Rhaenyra Targaryen, very literal. And I assume yours is similar.
Love it. I stole yours from last week. I was going to say Alan Valerian. Now, formerly Alan of Hull, now Alan Valerian.
Well,
Love to see it. Earn that title.
Alan and Rhaenyra, if we're going to crown you, we're going to crown both your asses. We let
Love
them off
it.
the hook. And this week's strategy with Lord Mims. Lord Mims, this is a very vague question because the greens are scattered. So there's three greens that give us the quick perspective from these greens. If you're the greens, what now? So I don't know. Is Allison a green? Should we not even count her as one? So let's definitely Aemond, definitely Aegon. Maybe 1B would be Kristen Cole, and then 1C Allison. Like, what's the plan? There's no cohesion here. So if you're Aemond and Aegon, what are you doing? I guess.
Well, um,
I guess Ormond.
yeah, I mean that I think that's the big I think that's the big piece right now is the
Okay.
Hightower hosts marching east toward King's Landing. If I'm Aemon, I feel like I've kind of lost the Riverlands already. I think the Harrenhal situation, like Harrenhal is overrated as a whole. I feel like people are always, it's always exchanging hands. People are always battling over Harrenhal. If you join Vagar with Tessarion and the Hightower host, you become all of a sudden a real dynamic fighting force that doesn't really have anyone in between it and King's Landing. So I think that would be the move if I'm Aemond. Now, Aegon obviously has his own stuff going on, so I'm not even going to give perspective from that. But yeah, I think that's the move. Aemond, Vhagar, linking up with Darren and Tessarion and that Hightower horse of 15,000 or so.
It's great. No, I appreciate that. I do think I'm curious to see Ormond. I want to see more of him. Based on what I've heard from the people who saw episodes 3 and 4, Ormond is like a formidable, very wise man. Obviously, he's Team Green, so the show he will be portrayed in the Tywin light where everyone is, gray, but this guy's maybe a little more evil. Um, and I'm curious to see him more. I'm curious to see Daron more. Like these guys, we've heard about them, but where are they? And I think that host, like we talked about it last episode, is very organized. So, you know,
Yeah, and Kristen Cole, I mean, he's just out there. I mean, they're kind of a scattered group anyways. I don't even know what their number is at this point. Although that reminded me, mentioning Darren, we still haven't heard anything about Aegon and young Viserys,
nothing.
Rhaenyra's youngest kids. So
Yeah.
that interests me. I was expecting to hear some sort of follow-up, like mention at least
Yeah.
in this episode.
Joffrey too. Joffrey, Aegon, and Viserys. Where are they? No mention of them. And so let's get into that a bit. So this is trial by combat. We'll get into this is part of trial by combat. I had one this week that was kind of a very. I got a little annoyed this week, Chris, on Reddit.
Hmm.
Because I felt like House of the Dragon is being treated like Citizen Kane in terms of like people think it should be Citizen Kane, and it's fair that like a lot of bullshit happens. But then I changed my trial by combat to be a typical Sheedy one because I was like, I don't want to get into that. I don't want to be just banging the drum and then I look like I'm a show defender. I gave it a 4 last season on episode 8. I'm not a show defender. I just felt that the tenor, for instance, me and you were very critical, and then you're like, it was an awesome episode 7.5 or whatever you gave it last week. It's a strong. People were like, and also, fuck the actor that plays Jace. And I was like, okay, let's all reel it in. And it was like all this negativity, but I'm going to save that because let's get into the good trial by combat, right? The one that's just a show idea. Because I don't want to
Okay.
get into the negativity. I'll save it because if people, I thought this was a strong episode. And if I see like people picking nits online, I'm going to be like, guys, I get it. The thing is, well, now I'm just so far into it. I don't know which way I want to go. I'll go with the friend.
Yeah, yeah.
Go with the friendly one. I was about to
Okay.
blast George R. R. Martin, and then I was like, I'm gonna reel it in. Everyone's like, the odds of this happening. I was like, you know how many times people bump into people in George's books? You know,
I mean
stop.
that's a common literary technique of like
Yeah,
paths crossing. It happens in a million stories.
exactly. And it is coincidental in nature, but this is though it's a funny show idea. And this is not even like a tongue-in-cheek one. This is one that I've written like spec scripts, like scripts for and stuff just out of fun, just because I like the idea of like this concept. But it is like a show truly about nothing, so it's hard to write. It's a play on the show Friends, and I also play with the term friends with benefits, and I call it Friends with Degenerates. And it's just about a group of like total fucking losers who don't really work and generally suck as people, but they all live in like the show Friends in like a New York high rise. And you're like, how do they afford this? Why are they living there? Like, how do they? And there's like no mention of any job. And also, I feel like you just pack like 10 crazy individuals into a high rise and be like, wait, how do they all live there? How are there this many people coming in and out of this apartment? I also think it'd be funny to have one character sleep under the stairs like Harry Potter, just for no reason. He just lives he just lives under the stairs. Um, and it's just them being adults who don't have their life together, but they're pushing 40 and they always go to like their high school reunion and all these weddings and stuff. And people are always like, oh, fuck, they're there. And yeah, friends with degenerates, and it's just a group of degenerates. It's kind of got an Always Sunny hint to it, but I even like the idea of the friends opening when they're all like taking the photos in the fountain. But while that's
Okay.
happening, they get in a fight and are like drowning each other in the fountain and like dunking each other. It's just common trash. And it's, no axe to grind. There's one character that always, for some reason, I thought it'd be funny if every episode he like throws up. I don't know why. It's no specific reason why. And they go to a really fancy wedding in the like the first, what's the first course called? Is it just called first course?
Oh, the old course or something
Yeah,
like that.
whatever. It's a lobster bisque, and he wants it so bad, and everyone at the table is wrestling it away from him because they know he's gonna throw it up. So it's a whole thing. But yeah, Friends with Degenerates coming soon to Netflix near
When
you.
I thought you were talking about the first course, I thought you were talking about a golf course for some reason. That's weird.
Oh no, talking about first course of food.
An appetizer,
Oh, that's right. Yeah, like it's a soup.
an antipasti. No, that's I mean it kind of sounds like what we would have been if, uh, we didn't have significant others or children or anything, just like piling up in a loft or something.
There's an alternate history where there's some. Yeah, it's crazy.
No, I love it. I mean, I kind of am interested to hear you go full torches lit on the George R. R. Martin and
Do you have a
House of
minute
the Dragon conversation. Maybe we save it for next
next week? Let's
episode.
do it next week.
I
That'll be
think
my trial by
we're
combat. It saves me a trial by combat, so let's do it then.
yeah, there we go.
Because I frame it, it's a show.
It's a show, air quotes.
Yeah, you can't see
Winky
if you're
face.
listening. I'm winking. But Chris,
No,
please,
I
what were
love
you
it.
saying?
Well, no, I was just saying this episode is a perfect example of what can go right, I think, in the rest of what we have in House of the Dragon. And even still, you see some of the glimpses of like, I'm not quite sure what that angle was, but I think overall, as you're looking at the picture, you got to give it like this is at the end of the day and a piece of art that's derived from like fictional third person sources. Like even the source material was not like I guess a general novel, right? Like
Right.
it wasn't from firsthand sources. It was written from the perspective of someone who was commenting on it years after the fact. And so it's possible that some of this stuff is actually how the story played out, but some things are just a little bit far-fetched even in a fantasy world. But again, this episode, great, loved it. But I'll let you give your overall thoughts on it.
I loved it. I thought it was a solid episode. I appreciate I think part of me is appreciating having appointment viewing. I love seeing how epic they're making. It's amazing. The acting is always, and it's the same thing with the end of Game of Thrones. It's the writing things that, with hindsight, we all would do differently. But Condell had his story, for better or worse. This is the story he's telling. It's making HBO a ton of money. People are still watching it. Everyone who says they're done are still watching it, and I don't care about the book changes so much as long as it makes sense, and some of it just doesn't, and that is what it is. But don't tell me you don't watch these two episodes and have moments where you're lost in them. You're not thinking about, oh, tomorrow's Monday. Fuck, I gotta work, or oh, I gotta do this and that. You're in that moment, and that's very cool, and it's cool to have that. That being said, we are the number one source for honest telling of how these episodes go. All right.
Damn right.
Um,
And the most entertaining podcast in the world of Ice and Fire.
Always slaps. Like, share, subscribe. As always, you guys know the drill. I don't even got to say it anymore. Anything else, Chris?
All good on my end.
Perfect. On my end, I'll say this. Since I am a known green loyalist and we have a new queen, Rhaenyra, hit me up. I'll bend the knee. I'll bend both knees.
Whips, check out the hand, switch, shooters on swoosh, hitters don't miss. Already just added a ton of y'all to my list. death wish. Not to be messed with, tested quiz. They shooting shots.